Step into the spotlight.
Okay, guys. Oh boy, here we go again. Oh my God. Let's talk about our friendly neighborhood fan hater, Dan Slott, today. We're going to talk about a couple other things, but that's the main topic of the story today. He is once again like creeping on people's Twitters, commenting on their stuff, and pretty much trying to intimidate them into backing down from their statements. You know, he's pretty much run over every fan that he can find, and he's been shut down and blocked them to the point to where there's no one else left to go after but the retailers. You know, when you've blocked everybody else, all you have left is that circle. So then you have to find another dragon to slay. That's what these SJWs do. They have to go around slaying their man-made dragons all day long. They're like Don Quixote searching for their next windmill. I mean, they've gone completely mental. They have shut themselves off from anything that might remotely resemble criticism, to the point to where they lash out violently at anybody that they even think might have said something derogatory towards their company. Not their company, the ones that they work for, because if you talk to these people, they'll say, we don't work for Marvel. You know, we're freelance. We don't work for Marvel. Every time you try to call these people out. So let's talk about a few things. If you will remember a tweet a couple of months ago, or a tweet rant a couple of months ago by Big Bang Comics, and I can only assume that they came up with a name after the show Big Bang Theory became popular. I'm not saying that that's where it comes from, but the font and the coloring and the name just too closely resembles the TV show. And the fact that the people that work there, quoted by Captain Cummings, are quote-unquote fake geek boys, I can only assume that these are the same, you know, they're going for the same thing, popularity-wise. So they came out the other day, yesterday, and they're talking about, what might have been today. Let me check the timestamp. Yeah, it's actually this morning, I think. Because, Dan Slott, he's just sitting there waiting to creep on people's Twitter. I think that he completely, he probably has computers set up in his office that just continually refresh the hashtags Marvel, Dan Slott, and criticism, so that he can be on the up and up of everything that's going on in his little command center of hate in his echo chamber. Hashtag Legion of Doom. But so Big Bang Comics comes out and they're saying, hey, we can't sell our comics. And they have these little memes that they start coming out with. Hey, this is the first hour of trying to sell Marvel Legacy. This is the second hour of trying to sell Marvel Legacy. And it's like continually getting sadder, each meme. You know what I'm talking about? Or each GIF. You know what I'm talking about? So, it's completely understandable. I mean, if I go to the comic store right now, I guarantee you there is a stack about 15 thick of Marvel Legacy. Is that on purpose? No, they're not selling. Marvel is shipping out, oh, you ordered 5? We're going to send you 15. And then they sell 3, and then they've got the others left over. I mean, I went to Books A Million the other day, and the comics are hanging over the shelves, bent over and destroyed, because they have no more room to put these comics in. And now all these comics are useless, and nobody's going to buy a wrinkled up comic. Okay? They wouldn't even buy it if it was pristine. You think they're going to buy it now that it's bent all up like a newspaper? No. So he's saying, we can't sell them, blah, blah. And then Dan just comes up out of nowhere and starts attacking him. And he says, here's the thing, Dan. You might not be aware of this. We have spoken amongst ourselves before about how worried we are about this. And he's talking about the different retailers coming together and talking about this. And he goes, I know retailers are worried about a lot in the market, including this. Trying to be very vague, trying not to take any kind of responsibility for it. He said, but from our side, we're all trying to produce the best comics possible. That is a dang lie. You a dang lie, Dan Slott. That's going to be my new catchphrase. You a dang lie. Okay, so You know and I know that you're not trying to put out the best books possible because you didn't push Silver Surfer at all, which was a better book than Amazing Spider-Man, and you just rode the coattails of popularity until Silver Surfer died inevitably of no promotion. You're not trying to make the best books possible because if you were, you would make Spider-Man what he is, a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man saving the day in Manhattan, and not what you've turned him into, which is a Doc Ock fanboy. We understand that you love Doc Ock. We understand that. We've seen it. You probably have a Doc Ock poster above your bed so you can stare at it and do other things, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so as we continue on through here and look at the rest of these comments that he's made, it really kind of goes to show you his kind of morality, where he's going with this. So in the next tweet, he says, I love comics, I love retailers. That's also a dang lie. It'd be nice not to use social media to bash stock they've invested in and the hard work people have put into them. You're trying to bully a retailer into not talking about bad sales. First of all, you don't love comics and you don't love retailers, because if you loved retailers, you wouldn't be going after them right now. You would have DM'd him personally and talked to him about it and not put it on Facebook or on Twitter so that you can virtue signal and intimidate him using Marvel's name. And, you know, the Ryan Higgins comment, he says, I'm not bashing the comics. I'm not bashing the creators. I'm reporting on the lack of sales in their store. There you go. How you're doing it is playing into the part of a fan culture that enjoys the bashing. Wonder who he's talking about there. I think you're objective enough to agree that's fair. See, they like to put you in that situation, make you feel bad into agreeing with them. He did that right there. He was like, well, if you're a human being, you would agree with that, and if not, you're a terrible person. That's what he tried to do. He said, imagine car dealerships also tweet out GIFs to make potential customers think twice about buying cars from their lots. It only makes sense. He says, I can't put a gun to customers' heads and make them buy the stuff. This guy is hilarious. I'm talking it up to all the customers, and they're buying Green Arrow instead. Oh my God, they're buying Green Arrow over Amazing Spider-Man, the most liberal comic ever, and they're buying it over Amazing Spider-Man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Dan Slott. And another guy says, my mouth is dry from talking up the books. My AdWords spend account is drained from marketing such solicits. Day one, not pre, hoping for legs. And I mean, it's like, it just keeps on going. He says, we pre-sold about 22 sets of the lenticular covers online, but no interest in the store. We're very DC heavy, but Marvel is still a big no-known sales. To be fair, this is not the store account. I get your point. This could deter further sales, but he has a right to discuss this regardless. Yes, he does. And you don't have a right to try to shut him up, Dan. You have a right to mind your own business and make good comics. Why wouldn't you just DM him in private, like I said earlier, and just talk about it in private? Because you're a jerk that likes to bully people. You would never say this to these people in real life. You're 4'0" and about 100 pounds overweight. If this guy walked up to you and said, hey, Dan, remember when you trash talked me on Twitter the other day? You would laugh it off and walk off as quickly as possible. We know it. We know you. I've seen your interviews. You look like, you know the guy on, I guess I should stop, but you know the guy on Lord of the Rings, the little dwarf? That's what you look like, except he's nice. He also has the right to set them on fire, the same way the guy at a car dealership has the right to drive his inventory off of a cliff. Now, see, you're just being a jerk now. Yeah, he does have a right to do that. He also has a right not to order your books because you're a jerk on Twitter. Do you think he's going to order Amazing Spider-Man now? Nope. I mean, Dan, think about this. You're selling under 50,000 now with Amazing Spider-Man. And you're getting on Twitter and bashing the creators now. It wasn't enough to bash the fans. Now you've moved on to the next dragon that you have to slay. I mean, my gosh, man. Get somebody to handle your Twitter for you. Man, that's all I can talk about that. I mean, my gosh. And then let's talk about something else here. This is just a little side note here, but so, New York Comic Con is coming up, and every single person that has anything to do with comics is put New York Comic Con on their name like that's supposed to mean something. All they're trying to do is they're trying to say, when people go to search my name, if they put in New York Comic Con, my name's going to come up. I mean, that's the oldest trick in the book. But we have Twitter's own Joe Caramagna. You know that guy with a donut on his Twitter name that has Captain America on his profile pic, but is like the biggest Twitter Nazi you ever met in your life? It's funny because, Captain America was a Nazi. Gasp. Anyway, he says, bring me treats and I'll pay back in comics. Also, I'll sign for free, no limit, but I'll be collecting money donations for this thing that he's doing. As always, let's have fun this weekend. Ha ha, smiley face, donut, kissy. Oh my God. Your testosterone is -5. And so one of the guys I follow says, can we see a picture of your table after you get all your food loot? He's being nice and everything, but here's my thing. Here's something that Captain Cummings pointed out to me. And I was kind of thinking the same thing, but Captain just has a way of putting it in such a direct manner that it just makes you laugh. He says, who goes to Comic-Con to get an autograph of a letterer? You're not even a secretary. Which is what editors are. You're not even a secretary. You're literally a guy that copies somebody else's words into word bubbles all day. You are a program on the internet that can be bought for $5.99. That's what you are. And you have the gall to go on Twitter and bash people all the time. And then you're going to go to New York Comic Con and sign these books. People are going to go, oh, I see you have, years later, these people are going to have these comic books at their homes. So we go, oh, did you get this copy signed by anybody famous? He goes, yeah, Joe Caramagna. Who's that? Oh, he's the letterer. What's that? Exactly. But anyway, that's just me ranting a little bit on that. And then they also had that story that came out on Comics Mix, a nothing burger of a news site. And basically, he's doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. I'll put the link in the description. He's jumping on the bandwagon, trying to get clicks by trashing diversity in comics on his newspaper, but then puts no examples, as you can see in Captain Cummings' video. And it just, it gets really sad to the point to where you're just mad because people like this shouldn't be allowed to make things like this and call it news when all it is opinion and conjecture. You can do that on a regular Twitter. You don't need a news account. But anyway, so he puts on his he puts the news article on his Twitter feed, and then people start noticing, hey, the comments are disappearing off of your the comment section of your news page. What's going on? It says, hey Joe, did you remove my comments below the article, or was it a glitch of sorts? Oh, I think it might have been a glitch. I don't remove any comments. Sorry for any inconvenience. Yeah, right. If you lied in an article, you don't think that he probably deleted the comments that he didn't like? Very suspicious. But anyway, that's all I got on the subject. I think this is really trashy by Dan Slott to say these kind of things, especially when you can. I want you to, after you get done with this video, I want you to go to Google and I want you to search Dan Slott Twitter and go to the images. He has been doing this since like 2007, getting on there bashing people on Twitter. He has no problem with playing the keyboard warrior on Twitter and then blocking you if you say anything in return. I really wish that Marvel would rein him in a little bit because the sales are not to this point helping at all. He may be one of the highest sellers at Marvel, but that doesn't mean anything when you're selling below 50,000. Okay? You should be selling 150,000 consistently every month. But that's all I got to say about it, guys. Tell me what you think about it. Hit thumbs up. Hit the notification button so you don't miss any of my videos. And let's go out there and have a good day today since Dan Slott seems to be having a bad one. Show him how it's done. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
I wish I knew you when I was young.